The Great Gatsby, Chapter 7. At the time when everyone was most curious about Gatsby, something strange happened. One Saturday night, the lights in his house didn't turn on. Just like that, his big party stopped. Slowly, I noticed that cars would drive up to his house, wait a minute, and then leave, disappointed. I wondered if Gatsby was sick, so I went to his house to check. A new butler, who looked mean, opened the door and stared at me. "Is Mr. Gatsby sick?" I asked. "No," he said. After a moment, he added "sir" in an unfriendly way. "I haven't seen him around." I was a bit worried. "Please tell him Mr. Carraway came by." "Who?" he asked rudely. "Carraway," I said again. "All right. I'll tell him," he said, and then slammed the door shut. Later, my maid told me that Gatsby had fired all his old servants last week. He hired new ones, 6 people who never went into the village and only ordered small amounts of food by phone. The grocery boy said the kitchen was very dirty. And many people in town thought the new workers weren't real servants at all. The next day, Gatsby called me on the phone. "Are you going somewhere?" I asked. "No, old sport," he answered. "I heard you fired all your servants. I needed people who don't gossip. Daisy comes over often, usually in the afternoons." So, all his parties and guests stopped because Daisy didn't like them. These new people are friends of Wolfsheim. They're all related. They used to run a small hotel. "I see," I said. "Gatsby told me Daisy wanted me to come to lunch at her house the next day. Jordan Baker would be there too." About 30 minutes later, Daisy called and sounded happy that I was coming. Something felt strange. Still, I didn't think they would start any arguments that day. Not like the dramatic one Gatsby had once told me about in his garden. The next day was very hot, maybe the hottest day of the summer. When my train came out of the tunnel into the sun, everything felt quiet and heavy in the heat. Only the loud whistles of the National Biscuit Company broke the silence. The seats in the train were hot. A woman next to me was sweating. Her newspaper got wet from her hands, and she let out a sad sound. Her purse dropped to the floor. "Oh my," she said. I bent down, tired, picked it up, and gave it back carefully. I held it by the edge to show I wasn't trying to steal it. But people still looked at me suspiciously. "Hot," said the train conductor, smiling at passengers. "What a day? Hot, hot. Is it hot enough for you?" My ticket came back to me with a sweat mark from his hand. In this heat, who would care about love, kisses, or feelings? At the Buchanan's house, a small breeze came through the hallway. Gatsby and I stood at the door. We heard the telephone ring inside. "The master's body," shouted the butler into the phone. I'm sorry, madam, but we can't send it now. It's far too hot. But then he really just said, yes, yes, I'll check. He hung up and came to us, slightly sweaty, and took our straw hats. Madam is waiting for you in the living room, he said loudly, pointing even though it wasn't needed. In this heat, even small movements felt too much. The room was cool and dark, with shades on the windows. Daisy and Jordan were lying on a big couch. They looked shiny and relaxed in their white dresses, with fans blowing on them. We can't move, they said at the same time. Jordan gave me her hand for a second. It felt soft and white. And where is Mr. Tom Buchanan, the athlete? I asked. At the same moment, we heard his deep voice from the hallway phone. Gatsby stood in the middle of the room, looking around. He seemed amazed. Daisy looked at him and laughed. A little puff of powder rose from her chest into the air. I heard, Jordan whispered to me, that the woman on the phone is Tom's girlfriend. We were all silent. Then Tom's voice got louder. He sounded angry. Fine. Then I won't sell you the car. I don't have to. And don't bother me at lunchtime again. He's just pretending to talk on the phone, Daisy said coldly. No, it's real, I told her. It's a business deal. I know about it. Tom came into the room, blocking the doorway with his big body. Mr. Gatsby, he said, shaking Gatsby's hand in a fake friendly way. Good to see you, sir. Nick, make us a cold drink, Daisy said quickly. When Tom left, Daisy stood up, went to Gatsby, pulled his face down, and kissed him. You know I love you, she said softly. You forgot there's a lady here, said Jordan. Daisy looked around, a little embarrassed. Then kissed Nick too, she joked. What a silly, rude girl, Jordan said. I don't care, Daisy said, and started dancing on the brick fireplace. Then she remembered the heat and sat down again, looking guilty. Just then, a nurse came in with a little girl. My sweet darling, Daisy said, opening her arms. Come to your mommy who loves you. The girl ran to her and hugged Daisy's dress. My sweet girl, did I get powder on your yellow hair? Stand up now and say hello. Gatsby and I both shook the little girl's hand. Gatsby looked at her with surprise, like he had never really believed she was real. I got dressed before lunch, the child told Daisy. That's because Mommy wanted to show you off, Daisy said, kissing her little neck. You little dream, you. Yes, the child said calmly. Aunt Jordan has a white dress too. Do you like Mommy's friends? Daisy turned the girl toward Gatsby. Do you think they're pretty? Where's Daddy? The girl asked. She doesn't look like her father, Daisy said. She looks like me. She has my hair and the shape of my face. Daisy sat back down. The nurse stepped forward and held out her hand. "Come, Pammy." "Goodbye, sweetheart," Daisy said. The little girl left the room with her nurse, holding her hand. She looked back once, but then left. Tom came in, carrying drinks with ice. Gatsby picked up his glass. "They look cold," he said, trying to sound relaxed. We all drank quickly. "I read that the sun gets hotter every year," said Tom. "Or maybe it's getting colder. I don't remember." "Let's go outside," he said to Gatsby. "I want to show you something." I followed them onto the porch. The water looked still and hot. A small boat was moving slowly toward the sea. Gatsby looked at it and pointed across the bay. "I live right over there." "So you do," said Tom. We looked at the garden, the hot grass, and the sea in the distance. The boat moved slowly under the blue sky. Tom said, "That looks nice. I'd like to be on that boat for a while." We ate lunch in a dark, cool room. The cold beer made us feel a little better. "What will we do this afternoon?" asked Daisy. "And tomorrow? And for the next 30 years? Don't be so sad," said Jordan. "Life starts again when fall comes." "But it's so hot," Daisy said sadly. "Everything feels wrong." "Let's go into town." Tom was talking to Gatsby. "I've heard of turning a garage into a stable," he said. "But I'm the first person to turn a stable into a garage." "Who wants to go to town?" Daisy asked again. She looked at Gatsby. "You look so cool," she said. They looked at each other, as if no one else was in the room. Then she looked down at the table. "You always look so cool," she said again. She had told Gatsby she loved him, and Tom saw it. He looked shocked. He stared at them both like he was just realizing something. "You look like the man in that advertisement," she said to Gatsby. "Okay," said Tom quickly. "Let's go to town." "Come on, everyone." He stood up and looked at Gatsby and Daisy. Nobody moved. "Come on," he said again, angry. "If we're going, let's go." His hand was shaking as he finished his drink. Daisy's voice made us get up and walk out into the hot sun. "Are we leaving now?" she asked. "Shouldn't someone have a cigarette first?" "Everyone smoked during lunch," said Tom. "Oh, let's just enjoy ourselves," she said. "It's too hot to argue." Tom didn't answer. "Fine. Do what you want," she said. "Come on, Jordan." Daisy and Jordan went upstairs to get ready. The three of us stood outside, moving the hot stones with our shoes. The moon was already in the sky. Gatsby wanted to say something, but stopped. Tom looked at him. "Do you have stables here?" Gatsby asked. "Down the road, about a quarter mile," said Tom. "Oh," Gatsby said. There was a short silence. "I don't understand why we're going to town," said Tom angrily. "Women always get crazy ideas. Shall we take something to drink?" Daisy shouted from upstairs. "I'll bring some whiskey," Tom said, and went into the house. Gatsby looked at me and said, stiffly, "I can't say anything in his house, old sport." "She has an open voice," I said. "It's full of money," said Gatsby. He was right. I had never understood it before. Her voice was full of money, rich and shiny. Like a princess in a white castle, Daisy was the golden girl. Tom came back outside with a bottle of whiskey wrapped in a towel. Daisy and Jordan followed, wearing shiny hats and light jackets. "Shall we take my car?" Gatsby asked. He touched the hot green leather seat. "I should have parked it in the shade." "Is it a manual car?" Tom asked. "Yes." "Well, then let's switch. I'll drive your car to town, and you can take my coupe." Gatsby didn't like the idea. "I don't think it has much gas," he said. "There's plenty," said Tom loudly. He checked the gas gauge. "And if it runs out, I'll stop at a drugstore." You can buy anything at a drugstore these days. There was a short silence after that strange comment. Daisy frowned. Gatsby looked confused. "Come on, Daisy," said Tom. He pushed her gently toward Gatsby's car. "I'll take you in this big car." But Daisy stepped away from him. "You take Nick and Jordan," she said. "We'll follow you in the coupe." She walked close to Gatsby and touched his coat. Jordan, Tom, and I got into Gatsby's car. Tom slowly started driving. We left Gatsby and Daisy behind. "Did you see that?" Tom asked. "See what?" I said. He looked at me, knowing that Jordan and I probably knew the truth. "You think I'm dumb, don't you?" he asked. "Maybe I am. But sometimes I just know things. I have good instincts." Science says he stopped talking. "I've been checking up on this guy," Tom continued. "I didn't go deep, but I've learned some things." "You mean a fortune teller?" Jordan asked, joking. "What?" Tom looked confused. "A fortune teller? About Gatsby?" "Oh, no. I meant I looked into his past." "And you found out he went to Oxford," said Jordan. "Oxford?" Tom said. "No way. He wears a pink suit. But he did go there," Jordan said. "Probably Oxford, New Mexico," Tom laughed. "Tom, if you don't like Gatsby, why did you invite him to lunch?" Jordan asked. "Daisy invited him. She knew him before we got married. Who knows where? We were all tired and cranky." No one spoke for a while. Then I saw the sign with the big eyes of Dr. T. J. Eckelberg in the distance. and I remembered Gatsby's car might not have enough gas. We have enough to get to town, Tom said. There's a garage right here, said Jordan. I don't want to get stuck in this heat. Tom hit the brakes and stopped near Wilson's garage. A dusty sign hung above the door. After a minute, Wilson came out, looking tired and pale. Give us some gas, shouted Tom. What do you think we stopped for? A nice view. I'm sick, Wilson said. He didn't move. What's wrong? I feel very weak. Well, should I get the gas myself? Tom asked. You sounded fine on the phone. Wilson slowly came over and opened the gas tank. His face looked green in the sun. Sorry to bother you at lunch, Wilson said. But I really need money. What are you doing with your old car? How do you like this one? Asked Tom. I bought it last week. It's a nice yellow car, said Wilson as he pumped gas. Want to buy it? Not really, said Wilson. But I could sell your old one for some money. Why do you need money now? I've been here too long. My wife and I want to move west. Your wife does? Tom asked, surprised. She's been talking about it for 10 years, Wilson said. But now she's going, even if she doesn't want to. I'm going to take her away. Just then, Gatsby's car passed us, leaving a cloud of dust. Someone inside waved. How much do I owe you? Tom asked. Wilson said, I found out something strange these last 2 days. That's why I need the money. That's why I called about the car. How much? $1.20. The heat was making me feel dizzy. I had a bad feeling. I could see Wilson wasn't blaming Tom yet. But he had found out that Myrtle, his wife, had another life, one he didn't know about. It made him physically sick. I looked at Wilson, then at Tom. Tom had also discovered something just an hour ago. And I thought, there's no difference between men that's as big as the difference between sick and healthy ones. Wilson looked guilty, like he had done something wrong, even though he hadn't. I'll give you the car, said Tom. I'll send it tomorrow afternoon. This place always felt a little strange. Now I looked behind me, as if something was about to happen. Over the dirty land, the big eyes of Dr. T.J. Eckelberg watched silently. But I saw another pair of eyes watching us closely. In the upstairs window of the garage, the curtain moved. Myrtle Wilson was looking down at the car. She didn't know anyone was watching her. Her face changed, showing different emotions one by one. I had seen this look before on other women, but on her, it looked strange. Then I understood, she wasn't looking at Tom. She was staring at Jordan. Myrtle thought Jordan was Tom's wife. There is no confusion like the confusion of a simple mind. As we drove away, Tom was feeling panic. Just 1 hour ago, he felt sure about his life. His wife and his girlfriend were both under his control. But now, everything was falling apart. He stepped hard on the gas pedal. He wanted to catch up to Daisy and also get away from Wilson. We drove fast, about 50 miles per hour, towards Astoria. Soon, we saw Daisy and Gatsby's light blue car in front of us. Under the steel structure of the train tracks. Jordan said, "The big movie theaters around 50th Street are cool. I love New York on summer afternoons when everyone is gone. It feels exciting, like something sweet and ready to fall into your hands." The word exciting made Tom more nervous. But before he could say anything, Daisy's car stopped, and she waved for us to stop too. "Where are we going?" she asked. "What about the movies?" someone suggested. "It's too hot," Daisy said. "You go. We'll drive around and meet you later." She smiled a little and joked, "We'll meet you at some corner. I'll be the one smoking 2 cigarettes." Tom didn't want to argue in traffic. A truck honked behind us. He said, "Follow me to the south side of Central Park, in front of the Plaza Hotel." Tom kept looking back to make sure Daisy and Gatsby's car was still following. I think he was afraid they might turn down another street and disappear forever. But they didn't. We all ended up going to the Plaza Hotel. We rented a fancy room. I don't remember the whole conversation that led us there. I just remember feeling hot and sweaty. My shirt was sticking to me, and sweat was running down my back. At first, Daisy suggested getting 5 hotel bathrooms and taking cold showers. Then we decided to get a room to have a cold drink, a mint julep. We all kept saying it was a silly idea, but we did it anyway. We talked too much to the confused hotel clerk and acted like it was all very funny. The room was big and very hot. It was already 4 o'clock. We opened the windows, but the air was still hot and smelled like plants from the park. Daisy looked in the mirror and fixed her hair. "This is a nice room," whispered Jordan. Everyone laughed. "Open another window," Daisy said. "There aren't any more," someone answered. "Then we should call for an axe," she joked. Tom got annoyed. "Stop talking about the heat. You're making it worse." He took a bottle of whiskey from a towel and put it on the table. "Why not leave her alone, old sport?" said Gatsby. "You're the one who wanted to come to town." There was a quiet moment. The phone book fell to the floor. Jordan said, "Excuse me," but no one laughed this time. "I'll get it," I said. "I've got it," said Gatsby. He looked at the string that held it and said, then tossed it onto a chair. "That's a funny thing you always say, old sport," Tom said sharply. "Where did you get that from?" "Tom," said Daisy, turning from the mirror. "If you're going to say rude things, I'm leaving. Call room service and order some ice for the drinks." Tom picked up the phone. At that moment, music from a wedding started playing downstairs. We heard the wedding march. "Imagine getting married in this heat," said Jordan sadly. "I got married in June," said Daisy. "In Louisville." Someone fainted. "Who was it, Tom?" "Biloxi," Tom answered. "A man named Biloxi. He made boxes and came from Biloxi, Tennessee," she said. "They brought him to my house," added Jordan. "We live near the church. He stayed 3 weeks until my dad told him to leave. The day after he left, my dad died, but it wasn't because of him." "I knew a Bill Biloxi from Memphis," I said. "That was his cousin," said Jordan. "He told me everything about his family before he left. He gave me a golf club that I still use." The music stopped. Then we heard people cheering and jazz music starting again. "We're getting old," said Daisy. "If we were young, we'd get up and dance." "Remember Biloxi?" Jordan said to her. "Where did you know him from, Tom?" "Biloxi?" Tom thought hard. "I didn't know him. He was Daisy's friend." "No, he wasn't," Daisy said. "I never saw him before. He came with someone else." "Well, he said he knew you. He said he was from Louisville. Asa Bird brought him and asked if we had room." Jordan laughed. "He was probably just trying to get a free ride. He told me he was president of your class at Yale." Tom and I looked at each other, confused. "Biloxi?" we said. "There wasn't a class president," Tom said. Gatsby tapped his foot, clearly nervous. Tom looked at him. "By the way, Mr. Gatsby," he said, "I heard you went to Oxford." "Not exactly." "Oh, I thought you said you went there." "Yes, I did." There was a pause. Then Tom said in a sarcastic voice, "Maybe you went there the same year Biloxi went to Yale." There was a knock. A waiter came in with ice and mint leaves. Nobody spoke. Finally, Gatsby said, "I told you I went to Oxford." "I heard you." "But when did you go?" asked Tom. "In 1919. I stayed only 5 months. So I don't really call myself an Oxford man." Tom looked around the room, wanting us to agree with him, but we were all looking at Gatsby. "It was something they offered to officers after the war," Gatsby explained. "We could study in England or France." I suddenly felt proud of Gatsby again. I believed him. Daisy stood up and smiled. She walked over to the table. "Open the whiskey, Tom," she said. "I'll make you a mint julep. Then maybe you won't feel so stupid." "Look at the mint." "Wait," said Tom. "I want to ask Gatsby one more question." "Go ahead," said Gatsby calmly. "What kind of trouble are you trying to cause in my house?" Now the truth was out. Gatsby was ready. "He's not causing anything," said Daisy, looking at both men nervously. "You're the one causing trouble. Please calm down." "Calm down," Tom shouted. "So now it's okay for some nobody to fall in love with your wife?" "Well, not with me. People today laugh at family and marriage. Next, they'll be talking about black and white people getting married." "We're all white here," said Jordan quietly. "I know I'm not popular," Tom went on. "I don't throw big parties. I guess today you need to turn your house into a zoo to make friends." We were all angry, but I almost laughed when he talked. He sounded so fake, pretending to care about morals. "I've got something to say, old sport," Gatsby began. But Daisy stopped him. "Please don't," she said softly. "Let's all just go home." "Why don't we all go home?" "That's a good idea," I said, standing up. "Come on, Tom. Nobody wants a drink." "I want to hear what Gatsby wants to say," Tom said. Gatsby looked straight at him. "Your wife doesn't love you," he said. "She's never loved you." "She loves me." "You're crazy," said Tom. Gatsby jumped up, full of emotion. "She never loved you," he shouted. "She only married you because I was poor. She waited, but then gave up. She made a mistake. But deep in her heart, she always loved me. Jordan and I tried to leave, but both Tom and Gatsby told us to stay, like they wanted an audience." "Sit down, Daisy," Tom said. "Tell me everything." "I already told you," said Gatsby. "It's been going on for 5 years. And you never knew." Tom turned to Daisy. "You've been seeing this man for 5 years." "Not seeing," Gatsby said. "We couldn't meet. But we always loved each other." Tom exploded. "That's crazy. I didn't know Daisy back then. I don't even know how you met her unless you delivered groceries to the back door. The rest is all lies. Daisy loved me when we got married. She still loves me." "No," Gatsby said. "She does. She gets silly ideas sometimes, but she loves me. I love her too. Sometimes I make mistakes, but I always come back to her." "You're disgusting," said Daisy. She turned to me. "Do you know why we left Chicago? I'm surprised you haven't heard the story." Gatsby came close to her. "Daisy, that's all in the past," he said. "Tell him the truth, that you never loved him, and then we can be together." Daisy looked confused. "How could I ever love him?" she asked. "You never loved him," said Gatsby. She looked at Jordan and me, asking silently for help. Maybe she never really wanted this to happen. But it was too late now. "I never loved him," she said, but she didn't sound sure. "Not in Kapiolani?" asked Tom. No. What about when I carried you down the hill to keep your shoes dry? He asked gently. Daisy, please stop, she said coldly, though not angry. She turned to Gatsby. There, Jay. But her hand was shaking as she tried to light a cigarette. Suddenly, she threw it down. Oh, you want too much, she cried. I love you now, isn't that enough? I can't change the past. She started crying. I did love him once, but I loved you too. Gatsby looked shocked. You love me too? He repeated. She's lying, Tom said angrily. She didn't even know you were alive. There are things between Daisy and me you'll never understand. Gatsby looked hurt. I want to talk to Daisy alone, he said. Even alone, said Daisy sadly. I can't say I never loved Tom. That would be a lie. Of course it would, Tom said. Daisy turned to him. As if you care, she said. I do care, Tom answered. I'll take better care of you from now on. You don't understand, Gatsby said nervously. You're not going to take care of her anymore. I'm not. Tom laughed. Why not? Daisy's leaving you. That's nonsense. I am leaving, Daisy said quietly. She's not leaving me, Tom shouted. Not for a criminal who would steal the wedding ring. I can't take this, cried Daisy. Let's go? Who are you, Gatsby? Shouted Tom. You hang around with Meyer Wolfsheim. I know that much. I've been checking into your business, and I'll keep looking into it. You do what you want, Gatsby said calmly. I know what your drugstores really were, Tom said. He and Wolfsheim bought little shops and sold illegal alcohol. I knew he was a bootlegger from the start. So what? Said Gatsby. Even your friend Walter Chase wanted to join us. But you left him behind, didn't you? He went to jail in New Jersey. You should hear what Walter says about you. He had no money. He was happy to make some, said Gatsby. Don't call me old sport, yelled Tom. Gatsby said nothing. Walter could report you for illegal gambling too. But Wolfsheim scared him into staying quiet. Gatsby's face changed. That alcohol business was nothing, Tom said slowly. But now you're into something worse. And Walter is too scared to tell me what it is. I looked at Daisy. She was scared and stared at Gatsby and her husband. Jordan was balancing something invisible on her chin like she was playing. Then I looked back at Gatsby and was shocked by his face. He looked like he had killed someone, even though that wasn't true. His face was full of pain and anger. Then he turned to Daisy and started talking very fast. He said none of it was true. He tried to protect his name, even though no one had really accused him of anything. But with every word, Daisy became quieter and more distant. So he stopped talking. Only the broken dream was still there, trying to hold on, trying to reach Daisy, who was already gone in her heart. Then Daisy said, "Please, Tom, I can't take this anymore." She was clearly afraid. Whatever plan or strength she had earlier, it was now gone. "You and Gatsby go home together," Tom said. "Take his car." Daisy looked at Tom with surprise, but he spoke again, acting like he was being kind. "Go ahead. He won't bother you. I think he knows this little romance is over." They left without saying anything. They seemed like ghosts, like they weren't real anymore. Even we couldn't feel sorry for them. After a few moments, Tom got up and started wrapping a bottle of whiskey in a towel. "Do you want some?" he asked Jordan and me. I didn't answer. "Nick?" he asked again. "What? Want some?" "No." I just remembered. Today's my birthday. I was 30 years old. A new part of life was starting, and it didn't look good. It was 7 o'clock when we got into the car with Tom and started driving back to Long Island. Tom talked a lot and laughed loudly, but his words felt far away. Jordan and I didn't feel close to him at all. We just let the sadness stay behind with the city lights. 30 years old. A time of fewer single friends, less excitement, and less hair. But Jordan was next to me. She was smart, too smart to keep chasing old dreams like Daisy did. As we drove across the dark bridge, she rested her head on my shoulder. And the fear of turning 30 faded a little when I felt her hand in mine. We were driving towards something terrible. Michaelis, a young Greek man who worked at a small coffee shop near the garage, was the main witness later. He had been asleep during the hot afternoon. After 5 o'clock, he walked over to the garage and found George Wilson feeling very sick. His face was white, and he was shaking. Michaelis told him to go lie down, but George said he couldn't. He didn't want to lose business. While Michaelis was trying to convince him, a loud noise came from upstairs. "I locked my wife up there," George said calmly. "She'll stay there until the day after tomorrow. Then we're moving away." Michaelis was shocked. They had been neighbors for years, and George had always seemed quiet and weak. Usually, when George wasn't working, he sat at the door and watched the road. When people talked to him, he would always smile quietly. He didn't seem like someone who could lock his wife up. He wasn't really his own man. He did what his wife wanted. Michaelis tried to find out what had happened, but George wouldn't say anything. Instead, he started asking Michaelis strange questions about where he had been on certain days. Michaelis started to feel nervous. Then some workers walked by, and Michaelis used that moment to leave, planning to come back later, but he didn't. When he came back outside around 7 o'clock, he heard Mrs. Wilson yelling downstairs in the garage. "Hit me. Throw me down. You coward," she screamed. Then she suddenly ran outside into the road, waving her arms and yelling. But before Michaelis could react, everything was over. The car that newspapers later called the death car didn't stop. It came out of the dark, hit her, and disappeared around the corner. Michaelis wasn't even sure what color it was. He thought it might have been light green. The other car going the opposite way stopped a little ahead, and the driver ran back. Mrs. Wilson was already dead. Her body was lying in the road, her dark blood mixing with the dust. Michaelis and the man reached her first. They opened her shirt, but her chest was badly hurt. She had no heartbeat. Her mouth was open, torn at the corners. It looked like she had tried to scream before she died. We saw the crowd and a few cars from far away. An accident, Tom said. Well, maybe George will finally have some business. He slowed down and decided to stop when he saw the serious faces in front of the garage. Let's take a look, he said. I could now hear a sad, crying sound from inside. As we walked closer, the sound became clear. Someone was repeating, "Oh my God, oh my God," over and over. Something terrible happened, Tom said. He stood on his toes to look into the garage. There was only one yellow light inside. Tom suddenly made a loud noise and pushed his way in. We were pushed inside too. Mrs. Wilson's body was lying on a table covered in 2 blankets. Tom stood next to it, not moving. A police officer was writing down names in a notebook. I looked for the person crying. It was George Wilson. He was standing in the doorway of his office, swaying and holding the door. Another man was trying to comfort him, but George didn't notice. He just stared at the body, then the light, then the body again, crying. Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Tom finally looked up and said something quietly to the policeman. The policeman was writing a name, Mav. No, it's Mavro, someone corrected. Listen to me, Tom said loudly. What's the problem? Asked the policeman. What happened? Tom asked. Car hit her. Killed her right away. Killed her right away, Tom repeated. She ran into the road. The driver didn't even stop. There were 2 cars, said Michaelis. One going each way. What's the name of this place? Asked the officer. No name, someone said. A well-dressed black man stepped forward. It was a yellow car. Big and new. Did you see it happen? Asked the policeman. No, but it passed me. Going really fast. They asked for his name. Then George suddenly shouted from the doorway. You don't have to tell me what kind of car it was. I know what kind of car it was. Tom's muscles tensed. He walked quickly to George, grabbed his arms, and said gently but firmly, "Calm down." George looked at Tom, then almost collapsed, but Tom held him up. "I just got here," Tom said. "I brought you that blue car we talked about. The yellow car I was driving earlier wasn't mine. I haven't seen it since this afternoon." Only I and the black man heard this clearly, but the policeman noticed Tom's voice. "What's that?" the officer asked. "I'm his friend," Tom said. "He says the car was yellow." The policeman looked at Tom suspiciously. "What color is your car?" "Blue." "A coupe." "We came straight from New York," I added. Someone else confirmed this, and the officer turned away. Tom picked up George like a child, put him in a chair, and asked someone to stay with him. Then he walked out and whispered to me, "Let's get out of here." We pushed through the crowd. A doctor was arriving, even though it was already too late. Tom drove slowly at first, but once we were past the curve in the road, he hit the gas. A few minutes later, I saw tears on his face. "The damn coward," he cried. He didn't even stop the car. We reached the Buchanan's house. Tom saw two upstairs windows lit. "Daisy's home," he said. As we got out, he frowned at me. "I should have dropped you in West Egg, Nick. There's nothing we can do tonight." He sounded serious now. As we walked to the house, he spoke quickly. "I'll call a taxi for you. While you wait, you and Jordan can get something to eat in the kitchen." "No, thanks. But I'll wait for the taxi outside." Jordan touched my arm. "Don't you want to come in, Nick?" "No, thanks." I felt sick. I wanted to be alone. Jordan stood there for a moment. "It's only 9:30, she said. But I didn't want to be with any of them, not even her. She seemed to understand, turned around, and went into the house. I sat down and held my head in my hands. Then I heard the phone and the butler calling a taxi. I slowly walked toward the gate to wait. Then Gatsby stepped out of the shadows. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Just waiting here, old sport." That seemed strange. It felt like he was hiding or doing something wrong. "Did you see the accident?" he asked. "Yes." "Was she killed?" "Yes, I thought so." I told Daisy. She took it pretty well. He only seemed to care about how Daisy felt. I came back to West Egg on a side road. I left the car in my garage. I don't think anyone saw us. I didn't tell him he was wrong. "Who was the woman?" he asked. "Her name was Wilson. Her husband owns the garage." "How did it happen?" I tried to turn the wheel. He stopped, and I realized the truth. "Was Daisy driving?" "Yes," he said. "But I'll say I was." She was very nervous, and I let her drive. The woman ran out in front of us. Daisy turned away, then back, and hit her. It happened so fast. I think the woman thought we were someone she knew. Daisy hit her by accident. She was torn apart, I said. Don't tell me, Gatsby said. Anyway, Daisy pressed the gas. I told her to stop, but she couldn't. So I pulled the emergency brake. Then she fell into my lap, and I drove home. She'll be okay tomorrow. I'm going to stay here tonight. If Tom tries to hurt her, she'll turn the bedroom light on and off. He won't touch her, I said. He's not even thinking about her right now. I don't trust him. How long will you wait? All night if I have to. Until they go to bed. Then I thought, what if Tom finds out Daisy was driving? He might think something strange. I looked at the house. Some lights were on. Wait here, I said. I'll check if everything is quiet. I walked around the house. I saw into the kitchen through a small window. Tom and Daisy were sitting at the table. There was cold fried chicken and beer, but they hadn't touched it. Tom was talking seriously. He had his hand on hers. She looked at him and nodded sometimes. They didn't look happy, but they didn't look unhappy either. It was clear they were together. They were planning something. I walked back. Gatsby was still waiting. Is it quiet? He asked. Yes, it's quiet. You should go home, I said. Get some sleep. No, he said. I'll wait here until Daisy goes to bed. Good night, old sport. He stood there in the moonlight, watching the house, as if he was guarding something precious. But there was nothing left to guard.